him anyway. And I love that about the Lord. He doesn't say, oh, you don't have any faith, you got all these excuses, forget you. No, He heals them because, well, that's our Lord. That's His heart. He came to heal, He goes ahead and heals. The other thing I see here that's so, well, wonderful is that not only doesn't He give the guy any chance to say why it might not or cannot happen, but he also doesn't rely on this guy having faith in His ability to heal or God's ability to heal. It's not this guy's faith that's active here. It's Peter's faith. Remember, he looked at him expecting to receive something, but I don't think he was expecting a healing. And so it's Peter's faith that's being tested, not the faith of the lame man. And that's important for us to see. You know, there was a guy who comes to Jesus at one point. He had demon-possessed son, and basically Jesus tells him all things are possible to the one who believes, to him who believes. And how does he respond? He says, I do believe, Lord. Help my unbelief. Now, I think that's something for some of us. Oh, we believe. We know what God can do. We're just not so sure what He will do. And it can hold us back. So what do we need to do? Pray as he did. Lord, help my unbelief. Well, took him by the right hand, we read in verse 7, and He lifted him up. And Dr. Luke, who's recording these things for us, gives us a medical explanation of the miracle that takes place. Immediately his feet and ankle bones received strength. So he, leaping up, stood and walked and entered the temple with them, walking and leaping and praising God. And all the people saw him walking and praising God, and they knew that it was he who sat begging alms at the beautiful gate of the temple. And they were filled with wonder and amazement at what had happened to him. Well, I got to tell you, it is beyond interesting to me. It's beyond ironic to me that here I am teaching on a passage where someone is healed miraculously and instantaneously when I'm in the third month of suffering through the worst physical trial I have ever endured. Now, it's not the first time God has put me on the sidelines. In fact, some years ago, I had a trial that at least I thought at that time was the worst thing that could happen to me. I had nodes on my vocal cords. They were little growths that were getting bigger and bigger. And if they continued to grow, I would lose my voice completely. Pam's prayer would be answered. But I would have problems then, wouldn't I? Functioning and teaching. And so I went to the doctor and to a specialist. And I'm like, what do I do about these nodes? And he said, well, you got a couple options. One option is surgery. And, well, I'm not real into having things cut off me, even things that aren't a natural part of me. It just didn't sound that appealing. And I go, well, what happens after the surgery? He says, you're going to have to remain silent for 6 weeks. And I'm like, wow, that's impossible. I mean, that just, you know, I know with God all things are possible, but I don't know if I can be quiet for 6 weeks. And then he said, well, here's another option. I'm like, okay. And he said, you can just shut up now for 6 weeks and you might get better. I had heard of this before. Again, sounded impossible, but let's see. Surgery and stay quiet for 6 weeks, or stay quiet for 6 weeks and maybe avoid surgery. Well, I opted for that, of course, and I'm a minimalist when it comes to cutting off parts of me and even growths, as I shared. And so the long and short of it is, I got better. But for 6 weeks, I couldn't teach, I couldn't preach, I couldn't even talk. It was so bizarre. And I was just like, when it got better, I was like, Lord, thank you. And whatever that was all about, oh, I'm so grateful that you healed me. And I knew it was Him that healed me. And then, well, here we are. It's more than a decade, well over a decade later. And I started having some back pain, and it was bugging me. We were on a trip to see my brother off to London, and he got delayed, so we spent some extra time with him, and then we went and celebrated Pam's mom's 75th birthday, and my back was just getting worse and worse, and I came back and I did a service, a weekend and a Wednesday, and I did another weekend.